and welcome to this week's episode of Theater Cliffhangers, or What Comes Next. I left you last episode with the notion that we were going to explore a lot of superstitions and traditions in the theater, and that's exactly what we are going to do. And today's has to do with the superstition of wishing someone good luck. You may have the same feeling that if someone wishes you good luck, you kind of wish they didn't because it could bring bad luck. This notion seems to have gone down through the centuries, through humanity, and is a very firmly held belief by many, many people. So what did people in theater decide to do? Let's invent another phrase that means I'm wishing you good luck, but let's not say the words good luck. So instead, let's say something that is a negative that you wouldn't want to happen if you were going to go on stage and perform, and that is break a leg. So break a leg is the common good luck with your performance tonight phrase that actors use. And one that I find very interesting, because here in Canada, we live in a bilingual community. It's actually multilingual now, but officially we have two languages, English and French. Well, in the French language, what is said is merde. And those of you who know a little bit of French know that that means shit. And you wonder, why would somebody say that? Well, this one goes back to, I think, the 17th century in France. And at the Comédie Française, which is their big national theater, they would, of course, the patrons, the audience members, would arrive in carriages with horses. And the horses and the carriages would be tethered outside the theater while the performance was going on. And if you had a success, meaning good luck came true, you would have a large number of horse and carriage out front of the theater. Well, guess what the horses were doing occasionally? They were pooping. And so the French people decided to say, instead of break a leg, merde, shit. And so we have two versions of the same thing. And so that's what we're going to explore in today's episode in a very interesting manner. Okay, so don't forget, break a leg means good luck in the theater. Okay, so most of you know by now that I'm a longtime theater professional as an actor, a director, a playwright, an artistic director, an educator, and as I always say, you name it, I have probably done it, and I'm still doing it and loving it. It's the passion of my life. And I say that to tell you that all of the stories that you're going to hear are true. They're absolutely true. They might sound a little wild at times, but and I can't say there hasn't been some elaboration over time, because that's what we all do as storytellers. But I'm going to say it's 95% on the money true. Just before we get started, I want to reach out and thank all of the subscribers who are with the channel. And I want to ask you, if you haven't subscribed, please push the subscribe button right below the video and the like button. That attracts more viewers to the channel, and that will allow me to tell you more and more stories that are cliffhanger moments. And of course, every week I describe what's a cliffhanger. It's a sudden change in a story, change of direction primarily, that comes suddenly, unexpectedly, and it brings you forward in your seat, and you wonder, well, oh, what happened? What's going to happen next? What comes next? Hence the title of the program, Theater Cliffhangers, or What Comes Next. Okay, here we go. When we get to the cliffhanger moment, as always, I'm going to stop the video. Well, I'm going to give you time. I'm not actually going to stop the video. Give you a few seconds to figure out, what do you think happened next? And then I'll come back and I'll tell you what actually did happen next. And you'll have the enjoyment of seeing that your version lined up exactly with what happened, or maybe a little bit of surprise for you when you go, oh, wow, never thought of that. Okay, here we go. This actually happened. In the early 80s, I was an actor and director at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I was also the artistic director of the Prairie Theatre Exchange, and obviously very busy schedule. So as it so happens, I was directing a production of the great Canadian play 1837, The Farmer's Revolt. William Lyon Mackenzie was actually an owner of a printing press in Toronto, and published papers, and he took it upon himself with a few cohorts to rebel against the colonial government of the time in the province, well, not the province, let's call it the territory of Upper Canada, which became Ontario. And it's a wonderful play about the spirit of standing up for what you believe in, etc. So I was directing a production that was going to go on tour around the province of Manitoba. So that's part one. Part two was, in the evening, I was acting in an incredible play called Bent. And it's about the persecution of gay people in Nazi Germany. And so I was doing double duty, rehearsing in the afternoon as a director and performing at night as an actor. So we're partway through rehearsal. I'm going to say we're about halfway through, and we came to an interesting moment. First of all, I should tell you that the set was made up of barrels and planks and wheelbarrows, various items that we could put together as a puzzle as we went from scene to scene during the play. And the audience would enjoy the reconfiguration of the stage in lickety-split manner as we did each scene. And so we came to a point where I decided as the director, and everybody agreed it would be a good idea, that we have the actor be thrown up in the air and land on their feet off of a platform that was, I think, about 4 feet high. Now, I had this principle that I operated by, which was I would never ask an actor to do something that I wouldn't do first, all in the interest of their safety. And so, as usual, and I had done this many times, I stepped forward and I said, well, listen, you throw me, and then I'll work out the kinks of this throw and make sure it's safe, and then the actor can take over. Well, we proceeded to do that. Now, the way we did this was an actor on either side of me, and you'll see a little diagram that I sketched. I'm certainly not an artist, but I think you'll get the drift of me up in the air, having been thrown by these actors. So they took, on either side, each actor would take my hands and a leg. So one hand, one leg, one hand, one leg. And they would swing me in a pendulum motion. And then they would release me as I gave them a cue, and I felt it was the right time to do so. And I would arc through the air and land on my feet. Now, here's a couple of important factors. I was wearing cowboy boots with high heels, and the floor that I was about to land on in the rehearsal hall was terrazzo. If you don't know what terrazzo is, it's kind of like a marble floor. It's very hard. And so we proceeded to do this, and they launched me. Cliffhanger. This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen, a sudden turn of events in the story. So now I'm going to give you a few seconds to see if you can figure out what comes next. Okay, and then we'll be back after that little break, and we'll see if you figured it out or if it was something you didn't expect. Okay, enjoy the next few seconds. What I or no one took into account was that if you don't release that actor at exactly the same time on either side of the body, you're going to get an odd twist in the throw, and that's exactly what happened. And I was going higher. So I'm up in the air, and I'm going, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I've got split seconds, and I'm off center. I'm not going to come down straight on my feet. Now, another fact that you might enjoy knowing is I love the trampoline, and I used to in high school in particular. I would be on the trampoline as often as I could, and I learned to do several moves on the trampoline, and what that meant was I felt fairly comfortable in adjusting my body in the air. And so this flashed into my mind as I was reaching the apex of this throw, and I went, I can adjust. So I unfortunately, I did adjust to a certain extent. However, when I landed, because the throw was higher and I'd been thrown with a good amount of force, I was moving outwards as much as I was moving up, and I was in a bit of a twisted position. So when I landed, I came down not perfectly perpendicular, but let's say on almost a 45-degree angle, and you can imagine what happened. The cowboy boots, the heels, hit that terrazzo floor and went out from under me in an absolute split second. And I crashed to the floor at, I'm not going to say high speed, but it was pretty quick. And I remember the exhalation of air from my body as I whooped to the floor, and I ended up partly on my left side. And I was instantly immobilized, and everybody in the room was stunned, and nobody moved. And I'm going, oh. And they said, are you okay? Gord, are you okay? And I said, oh, I don't know. And then people rushed over to me, including the stage manager. Stage manager, for those of you who don't know, is the person who controls all of the scheduling and the dynamic in the room, resetting the scene before we start. And then the director says, thank you, and go, and we'll re-rehearse the scene. Anyway, it came rushing to me, and I thought, and here's where it comes into the title of the episode, I thought I had broken my left leg at the knee. I was in extreme pain. And I thought that I had also bumped my lower back on, I don't know why, but on my right side, maybe because I had twisted. So I said, just leave me here for a moment, and I'll manage to get up. But why don't you try lifting me in a few seconds, and we'll see if this leg is broken or what it is. And I was in shock, so I wasn't experiencing a great deal of pain at the time. However, they lifted me when I asked them to do it, and what we discovered was that I hadn't broken that leg. I had actually broken my arm. We didn't know it at the time, but suddenly I had searing pain shoot through my left arm, right in here, in my forearm. And I went, oh, whoa. And I said, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? Are you okay? I said, yeah, just get me to the seat, to the director's table, and I'll sit down. And, I always believed I could will myself through pain. So, by the way, you can't necessarily all the time. But I got to the seat, and I said, my stage manager whispered to me, are you okay? Like, are you going to be okay? I said, yeah, let's just give me a second. And then let's go back to where we were. So I said to the cast, I'm very sorry for what just happened. No one is at fault. except me, who was foolish enough to do that. So thank you for helping me. And needless to say, that move will be cut from the show. We will not be doing that move and put an actor at risk. And as I'm saying it, I feel this incredible pain in my left arm, and I start to feel a little out of it. And I now know that you will start to feel nauseous when you're in shock, and I was starting to feel nauseous. And my stage manager, thank you so much to that stage manager, who said, Gord, I don't think you should go on. Like, we should stop here for a second and look. You're starting to get white as a sheet, and I think you should. And at that point, I stood up, and I said, I think I'll be okay. And then I just went, whoa. And I could feel the nausea overcome me. I started to feel lightheaded, etc. They grabbed me under the arms and got me onto a chair. And we realized that I had gone into full-blown shock. So they did the right thing. They got a blanket. We arranged transportation. I can't remember if I went in an ambulance. I don't think so. But we had to stop the rehearsal, went to the hospital, found out that it was broken in 2 places and that a cast was put on. So we're in the afternoon now, and I'm going to say it's about 2 o'clock. And I'm having all this done. And of course, I let the theater know. And they said, the general manager, a man who I greatly respect, Zaz Bayon, Zaz said, so what are we going to do about tonight? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're in performance tonight. And it's a sold out house. And I went, yeah, I remember that. Well, we'll have to maybe reblock the scene a bit because of the cast, and I'm in some pain. And he said, reblock. Now, in case you don't know, blocking is a term that's used to keep track of the movement on stage by the actors. So if I was going to go towards you and hand you a cup of tea, let's say, and you take it from me, that's recorded by the stage manager. And when it's done, on what line, etc. Well, obviously with this arm, I wasn't going to be able to do some of the things that I normally did, so it would need to be reblocked. And after much consternation, we decided that's what was going to happen. And so I arrive at the theater an hour or so later, and we restage or reblock at least 2 of the scenes I was in. The other ones, I didn't have to concern myself so much. All the while, I'm in excruciating pain. Also, I play 2 characters in this play, and I have to do a quick change after one scene. So I have what's called a dresser, a person who is assigned to help me make that costume change. And so there we go. And I show up for performance, and we are about to start performance, but I am in such pain I can barely stand. And so I told the dresser, push me on the stage. I feel like I'm going to faint when I come off after a scene, but push me on, because I have a fear, and believe me, this is common to any actor, that I might be fired. Because if I can't continue this performance, they're going to have to replace me in short order. And so they won't call it being fired, but they will have to let me go. And that income from those jobs at Manitoba Theatre Centre was critical to the survival of myself, my wonderful wife Eloise, and our sons Sean and Spencer. And so I was quite terrified, and I said, look, the only way is throw me onto that stage, I'll survive somehow, which is what I did. And to give you the capper on the whole thing, I went home that night and I said to Eloise that I'm in such pain, I can't believe it. Now they put a cast on. Should I be? Oh, by the way, I don't take drugs of any kind when I'm on stage, so I couldn't take even an aspirin to control that pain. So I thought, okay, well, that's what it is. It's because I'm not taking any painkillers. Well, you know what it was? The next day, I found out they had misapplied the cast entirely, and they had actually put a twist into the brake. So, needless to say, they took it off, they reset the arm, and then eventually it healed. I went through the entire performance run in the cast of several weeks, and it eventually healed, and everything is fine today. So there is our cliffhanger for episode 5, Break a Leg with a Twist.